Sanchez and the 21 of Brian Chambliss. They're battling for 7th and 8th. Kyle Kraus wants to get in on the action here as well. Kyle Kraus to the inside. Oh, Sanchez in the fence. And Sanchez has just lost out big time in the fence. And he's going to be in the middle of the track as the rest of the pack catches him. He'll want to try and get back up to speed very quickly. He's also going to be at risk. Derek Myers, the teammate of Gerald West. Oh, and the 98 of Jerry Glenn's just gone round. I think that was off the bumper of Logan Lansford. And that is going to give the advantage to Gerald West here on the outside line. But can they hold it? That is the question. Did they make their move too soon? Thomas Harmon sitting there just in behind them. He moves up. Derek blocks. He moves down. Derek blocks again. And we have contact. Derek Myers goes round. The winner is going to Thomas Harmon. Thomas Harmon wins this race. P2 goes to Brian Harris. P3 to Logan Lansford. What an incredible... I'm here going into turn 1. So he's got the 25 of Brandon Miller behind him, who... I'm pretty sure you guys can at least hear me now, but I'm not sure how much of the actual stuff you're hearing. But we are going to go to a commercial break while I get this all sorted out. When we come back, we'll have the results from qualifying, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Right, guys, we are back here for the Rutnut Designs 162 live from the Daytona International Speedway, and qualifying has been sorted out. On the pole for Season 2 of 2021 in the Output Racing League is going to be the 13 of Travis Massia, and we've got nothing but terrible camera angles here, so we'll try and make do. On his outside will be the 21 of Brian Chambliss. Starting out of P3 is going to be the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez, with the 38 of Thomas Harmon starting on his outside. Then we're going to have the 15 of Ken Campbell in 5th, with Kyle Kraus in the 60 in P6. 7th position will be the 24 of Frank Isaacson. On his outside will be the 23 of John Lazelle. Then we're going to have the 39 of James Watson out of 9th, with the 5 of Mark Pentecoff out of P10. P11 will be Zach Scott Nicky in the 44, Chris Champo out of 12th, and looks like Chris is going to be the last chance for the Hard Charger Award. Jonathan Bell out of 13th, Matt Horton 14th, Austin Hakes 15th, Jaron Sanchez P16, James Lindau 17th, Brian Pizzakemi 18th, Matt Burgess in 19th, Sam Niederhelm in 20th, and Jonas Marquez starting all the way at the back in P21. And we've had late breaking news that Christian Budd in the 50 is not going to partake in this race. He's had a medical issue come up, and he will be unable to start this race, which is unfortunate. So we have 21 cars to take the grid, and even though Christian's not here, he still counts towards the strength of field number. And all 23 people in the server, including myself, we have a strength of field of 28-22, as there was a last-minute entrance from the 27 of Jonathan Bell. So here we go. It's time for 65 laps of Daytona International Speedway here for the Rutnut Designs of 162. And I think this is Travis Massia's first ever pole, which is amazing to think that he's starting off Season 2 with a bang. As everyone is getting ready to get going here. The pace car is in, and we're off and racing for Season 2 of 2021 here in the Output Racing League for the Rutnut Designs 162 from the Daytona International Speedway. And already the 13 of Travis Massia and the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez clearing the way to lead this one from the front. Thomas Harmon, who started out of P4, immediately jumped down to the low line when he had an opportunity, leaving the 21 of Brian Chambliss out to dry. But it's definitely the 13 leading the way right now, and you see there Thomas Harmon actually dropping out of the pack and falling towards the back. He's actually going to leave Ken Campbell in the 15 car in third place right now. Got the 60 of Kyle Kraus just behind him in fourth. 21 of Brian Chambliss is still stuck on the outside there in fifth, but he could be at risk of losing a spot here to the 24 of Frank Isaacson, unless he can get a bit of side draft going here, or draft from John Lazelle behind to keep him ahead of Frank. So we'll just keep an eye on this little battle here for a second and see how these guys do it. So there's a lot of big pushes coming from Hernandez onto the back of the 13 car of Massia. Now the outside line starting to gain some momentum now. There's 4 cars up there. And it's Chambliss leading that outside line with Lazelle. That's James Watson in the 39, and at the back of it, I'm pretty sure that's Jonathan Bell in the 27. And they've already got all the way back up to the top 3, as Hernandez is pushing furiously on the back of the 13 car. Now 5 car pack there on the outside line. The 44 of Scott Nicky getting up and into that action as well, as now Jonathan Hernandez pulls out of the draft and drops to the back. I think he was starting to overheat, as Lozelle still pushing Chambliss, and they both got clear and they come down. So that is a lead change in favour of the 21 of Chambliss, with John Lozelle P2. And James Watson now taking up the mantle of leading that outside line. He's getting the push from Jonathan Bell. Let's see what they can do at the front here, whether they can take the advantage. We still have a very solid pack of cars here right now. No one's really dropped off the back. Everyone's single file behind our top six. As the 13 of Travis Massier just dropped out of this front pack. He wants to get into some clear space behind. And I think we're going to open up the radio waves here to hear what these drivers are talking about. If indeed they are talking about anything. They are race car drivers at the end of the day, and sometimes they don't talk about anything. As it looked like Scott Nicky there almost fell off the back of this outside line, but he's gathered it back up and gone back to it. I think that was just enough for the inside line to maintain the advantage here coming into turns 1 and 2. And with plate racing, especially here at Daytona, it's not about if the big one's going to happen, it's going to be all about when. Because there's usually a lot of pushing that goes on with these plate tracks. There you go, they're all just snaking along. Top 6 is still 2x2. Everyone else behind is still all single filed out. No one's really pushing too hard here in the early stages. Everyone's just kind of chilling out a little bit. But in saying that, a lot of side drafting happening there from James Watson, trying to get his nose in front of Chambliss. He wants to officially lead a lap, but he's not going to do so this time at the line. Chambliss just stealing that one away from him. The outside line does have a momentum advantage coming off the corners. And even going into the corners, you can usually see a lot of checkup in the inside lane. Jonathan Bell is pushing furiously on the back of that 39 machine. Now let's see this time if they're indeed going to lead this lap. I don't think they will, because Scott Nicky had a little bit of a moment there coming out of turn 4, went a little bit too wide. And Jonathan Bell had to, Jonathan Bell and James Watson had to chase it up the track to try and make sure he stayed in the draft. But this is going to be a completely open race as far as who the winner could be. Because it is Daytona, anything can happen, and there is no Christian Budd racing here tonight. As I said, if you haven't heard the late breaking news, Christian Budd, our defending series champion, will not be racing in this race. He had a medical emergency just before qualifying, and he's gone off to Halifax Medical Center to get that sorted out. And James Watson finally leads a lap, gets clear of Brian Chambliss, and now leads the bottom lane. And Jonathan Bell and Scott Nicky starting to fall off there on the outside line with only the two of them, and they're not exactly drafting too hard with each other. And now Jonathan Bell up there all on his lonesome. Now this opens up opportunities for us to see maybe second, third or fourth place even, jumping into that outside lane to try and lead a lap as well. Because even though it'd be nice to just be safe and stay single file for a while, it leads to boring racing, and these guys get bored easily. I wouldn't expect them to stay single file for too much longer. I'm saying that, it's amazing because we still have a 21 car pack. No one's really dropped off from the back of it. No one's had any problems at all so far. When they get the start finish line this time, we will officially be 10 laps into the 2021 season 2 and 10 laps into the Rutnut Designs 162 here at the Daytona International Speedway. Don't forget to go check out Rutnut Designs in action on his Twitch. Twitch.tv/Ruthers88, and you can talk to him about pricing for paints or graphics and overlays, such as the border that we got going on around the standings here. That was made by Rutnut Designs. You see there the 44 of Scott Nicky trying to run that outside lane by himself now. Not sure whether he went up there voluntarily or whether he got shoved up there. But he's trying to make a little bit of side draft work in his favor on that outside line. Currently on the outside of Kyle Kraus. They're side by side for 5th. It looks like he's just starting to lose out in the corners here a little bit. And he's looking for a spot to jump back into line. He just wanted to see how far he could get. And it looks like he's going to slot in behind Frank here, just in front of Hernandez. There you go for that. Also in the background there I saw before Jaron Sanchez running the higher line. And he's probably going to slot in here behind Matt Burgess. Yeah, Sanchez, one of the 2 Toyota drivers here today. Mark Penticup is the other one. Let's go back up to the front of the pack, the 39 of James Watson, who is leading the way. And while we do that, we're also going to go to a commercial break here. And then it will be staying with these guys until the first round of pit stops. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back live and free here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Rutnut Designs 162 from the Daytona International Speedway. And it looks like these guys are starting to get a little bit antsy here in line. Ryan Chambliss thinking about the possibility of coming out and swooping around the outside of James Watson there. See him a couple times just experiment with going that little bit higher coming out of the corner. And I know John Lizelle is keen to follow him through. It's just whether they take it or not is going to be the ultimate question. We've still got no retirements. We've had no action happening in this race. Everyone's just been single file ever since the top six started to dissipate a little bit and everyone fell into line. The top five right now is Watson, Chambliss, Lizelle, Campbell and Kraus. Jonathan Bell, Frank Isaacson back there in P6s and 7. I think that is Scott Nicky, the 44, who's just gone to the outside line, trying to see if anyone would go with him. And Jonathan Hernandez did not want to partake this time. These guys back in 8th and 9th respectively. James Watson still leading the way here in front of Chambliss. I'm surprised everyone is being so calm right now. I would have honestly expected someone else to try and get that second lane going, but no one seems to be interested in trying that just yet. The 21 of Brian Chambliss not actually touching the back of the 39 car of James Watson. It's just hovering close enough that he can push him with the air that's being produced by these cars. You see Chambliss there just ducking out a little bit every now and then just to get a little bit of clean air on that grill, cool down his engine. That's the most important thing about being number 2 in line. You gotta be close enough to the car in front of you that you're giving them a speed boost, but you also got to make time to get a little bit of that fresh air onto your grill, or else you're going to blow up your engine, making it too hot. Oh, I just saw someone making a move. I think that was a 27 of Jonathan Bell. On to the outside line now, trying to make something work. Trying to get around that 15 of Ken Campbell. Now he's side drafting his way up to Lizelle. The 44 of Scott Nicky's gone up there too. Here, 21 of Chambliss. He's thinking about it. It's too late now, because there is Jonathan Bell and Scott Nicky on his outside. And we could very well have a change for the lead happening here shortly. Before Darren Sanchez now also stepping out into the second lane. He's a bit far back to catch the draft here from Scott Nicky. And they still have the momentum there. Looks like Jonathan Bell's actually going to lead this lap. He can't quite get clear of Watson though, as there is some furious pushing coming from Scott Nicky there on the back of the Jonathan Bell car. And Jaron Sanchez has been side drafting his way up towards the front of the field here, trying to get to the back of Scott Nicky. As Jonathan Bell gets clear, and now he moves to the lead of the bottom line. Scott Nicky holding firm on the outside line because he says, yes, Jonathan, I pushed you up there, but now I want my chance to lead it. Because here comes Scott Nicky with Jaron Sanchez, and Scott Nicky is going to take the lead here on lap number 23. He stays high to try and help out the league owner and operator, Jaron Sanchez there, who might actually slot into third position. He does, just in front of James Watson. And Scott Nicky pulling back to the outside line now. He just wanted to lead the lap. Now he's going to drop to the back again. Wow, that was an aggressive move by Scott Nicky there, getting back into the third spot in line. But now look at Sanchez and Bell go. They are pulling away from the field here a little bit, with Scott Nicky coming up behind them as well. So Scott Nicky not exactly holding onto the draft like one would expect. See that little bit of an air gap between himself and Sanchez. But he's closing up on that gap, and James Watson falling off from the back of Scott Nicky there as well. So let's actually go on board in the gyro cam of James Watson. This is a terrible gyrocam location. We'll have to talk to the producers, see if we can get that moved over a little bit. You see he's still catching up with them there. And Sanchez now in the outside lane. Went up there all by himself. He didn't want to push too much, I guess. Didn't want to overheat his engine. Scott Nicky finds his way in front of Sanchez's nose. And Jonathan Bell moved up to try and initiate the block there. But also in the outside lane, is that Jonathan Hernandez in the 88? It is. And he's got a huge run going. And he's actually just gotten himself into the lead of this race, utilizing side draft and the draft off the 4 of Jaron Sanchez. Now we have 2 Jonathans leading the way with Hernandez and Bell. And it looks like Sanchez is just going to fall down the rest of the field here. P3 is Scott Nicky, league rookie. And Sanchez fell all the way down to P11 after being in the lead. And 2 by 2, we're going for 4th and beyond. We're going to be focused on James Watson here as Lizelle, Kyle Kraus and Mark Pentecoff trying to make that outside line work. And it looks like they are doing so right now. Lizelle trying to get Kraus clear so they can both slot down into the inside lane and try and make a charge towards the front 3, who have cleared away from this group a little bit. Not sure if maybe Watson has a little bit of extra damage somewhere that no one actually can see. But James Watson definitely a little bit off the pace here by the looks of things. And it looks like Lizelle was almost going to try and make an outside move there on our 3 leaders. as he has now picked his way up into third. Going to try and get that second place away from the 27 of Bell. And Kyle Kraus is with him. And Thomas Harmon, I think, is up in this pack as well. He is with the 12 of Matt Burgess. Where did they come from? They were absolutely nowhere a few laps ago, and now they are in the outside lane and trying to get themselves into the top 5. Don't know when the decision to start racing happened, but these guys are starting the race right now. Our top 8 are going to be 2 by 2. If Scott Nicky can actually catch up to Jonathan Bell here, he's fallen off the pace a little bit. As the 38 of Thomas Harmon dives into the space left there behind Jonathan Bell. And that actually affected the outside lane greatly, because they lost that third car in line. They lost a lot of their momentum as the 12 of Matt Burgess now catches up to Kyle Kraus. Scott Nicky moved up to the outside line, and now Burgess falling into the inside behind Thomas Harmon. There's the 5 of Mark Pentecoff just behind as well. He's now in 7th. Great run from Mark Pentecoff here today. As we continue to watch John Lozelle there in the outside lane, trying to make moves happen. Jonathan Bell still pushing hard on the back of Jonathan Hernandez. And now our top 3 is all people who start with the name John. But here comes Thomas Harmon to try and spoil the party on the inside of Jonathan Lozelle. Oh, sorry, John Lozelle. Only the first 2 are Jonathans. You see in the background there that before Jones Sanchez has moved back to the outside lane, and he's going to have help from the 24 of Frank Isaacson. As that inside line is now getting the advantage over the 2 on the outside. Just because of sheer numbers, I think Kyle Kraus maybe have started overheating a little bit. And Sanchez moved back to the inside lane, but here comes the 24 of Frank Isaacson to be the hero of the outside lane. He's going to jump on 3rd in line, and we should see that outside lane starting to rocket back up towards the front again here very shortly. And just imagine if Sanchez had stayed in that outside lane, he'd be the one on the back of Kyle Kraus. They could have had a 4-car pack there on the outside lane. And sounds like we're getting pit stops.
I have 2 laps for everyone else.
We've already got 2 coming to the pits. I think that's the 39 of James Watson. I can't see who the other car is. I think it was the 21 of Chambliss that might have pitted with him. As we are at the halfway point at the end of this lap. 33 down, 32 to go. And Jonathan Bell pitting this time from P2. And he's pitting all by himself. No, it's a disaster for Jonathan Bell. He is going to have absolutely no drafting help when he comes out of the pits.
38 this time. 38 pitting.
There you go. A lot of people pitting in this time by.
15 pitting.
So this is where we can see some action. We're going to set the cameras to focus on crashes to see any action that might happen here on the pit entry from all these drivers.
33 pitting.
And it looks like we practically have the whole field coming into the pits. There's a traffic jam on the freeway. It looks like everyone making it in cleanly. Now it's just all about finding your pit box. I mean, we do have a right side of the pit lane rule, but it kind of gets confuddled when you have everyone like that packed up. And Watson has found Jonathan Bell, so Jonathan Bell with some drafting help. Actually, no, that's Chambliss. That's Chambliss and Watson. Far out in the track in front of them is Jonathan Bell, who is all by himself, no drafting assistance. He says, I don't need help from the draft. I'm going to do this myself. But in saying that, Jonathan Bell still lost out on a few positions. He's fallen to 7th, although he'll make up maybe 1 or 2 more spots here as he's getting around people who have just come out of the pits. In fact, he's only going to make 1, so he's gone from 2nd all the way back to P6. And there is a gap between himself and the leading 4, the leading 5, who are all within a second of each other. Now this is a pack that we got going on here. 2 of Chris Champeau stuck in the middle. And he was stuck in the middle of Scott Nicky and Chambliss. It looks like they got themselves sorted out to a 2x2 formation. And there's someone else back in the pits. I think that is the 28 car that's in the pits. Austin Hakes it was. There he is in the pit lane. Go check out our leader, who is now going to be Thomas Harmon. There's the 88 of Hernandez. You got the 12 of Matt Burgess, the 60 of Kyle Kraus, 23 of John Lazelle with them. And these guys currently have a 4-second gap over Jonathan Bell in P6. Yeah, the rest of the pack has caught up to Jonathan Bell now. Bell,
I think we gotta go single file, guys.
who was there with Mark Pentecoff.
Single file faster.
Okay. Okay.
You heard there, these guys figuring out whether double file or single file was faster. But now that we've had our green flag pit stops, we're going to go to another commercial break. And when we come back, we will be going to the checkered flag unless we get an incident. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And we are back here live and exclusive on the Jersey Sim Commentator channel for the Rutnut 162 for Season 2 of 2021 in the Output Racing League. Currently being led by Thomas Harmon with Jonathan Hernandez on his tail. Got Matt Burgess up there in 3rd, Kyle Kraus 4th, and John Lazelle 5th. And we go back to our second pack of cars, which is being led by the 2 of Chris Champeau. He's got Jonathan Bell, Mark Pentecoff, Brian Chambliss, and James Watson there just behind him, wrapping up the top 10. As far as I can tell, everyone's still on the lead lap. A couple of people who have fallen right off the back of the pack. And that's a 66 of Niederhelm I can see. Yeah, and he's there with the 64 of Jonas Marquez. These guys are 19th and 20th. I think Austin Hakes in the 28 car, 2 laps down, possibly for a speeding penalty in the green flag pit stops there. Let's go back up to our leaders, Thomas Harmon. And we have, I think that's 25 laps to go as they just came across the line this time. So our top 5 here, if they want to maintain a decent position, all they have to do is work together, stay calm. They will be catching up to Austin Hakes, who is 2 laps down, so he will become 3 laps down. And these 5 are just hoping to not see a caution, because this is going to be their best chance at a win and their best chance at a top 5 finish here. We're going to go and check in on the second pack real quick. Still being led by the 2 of Chris Champeau. And Jonathan Bell right on his tail, offering the push. These guys are trying to catch our leaders, and that is not going to be an easy task. There's full scope of that secondary pack. They should be catching the leaders, but it doesn't appear that they are doing so at the moment. They lost 2 tenths to John Lozelle on the last lap. You see, back in the pack a little bit, they are 2x2 driving. Let's see what the gap is this time when they come across the line. It's 6.2 seconds is the gap between Lozelle and Chris Champeau. He gained about half a tenth on that lap. And that is not fast enough for catching the top 5. So these guys are really going to have to start pushing hard and trying to work together to try and catch up to our top 5, which is not going to be an easy task now that Austin Hakes has actually jumped onto the back of that pack. So a little bit of looseness there from James Watson in the 39 car. As the 4 of James Sanchez and the 33 of Matt Horton using that outside lane to move up a bit. Got 6 cars in the outside lane, got about 7 or 8 in the inside lane there. Six cars outside, 6 cars inside. There you go. But it looks like this is working, this extra competition that they're getting from the outside lane. They have started to close in on Lozelle in front, but I still just don't think it's going to be enough for them to really make an impact in this race unless we get a caution. Let's go back in and check on our leaders. They're still following the status quo, although Thomas Harmon has now dropped out to 4th, and Jonathan Hernandez is leading the way in the 88 car. You can see just on the back of them is the lap down car of Austin Hakes. "12 of Matt Burgess all over the back of the Hernandez car, trying to will him into going faster. Let's go back to checking out that second pack now. And they're still 2 by 2 with the 2 of Chris Champeau on the inside and the 4 of Jaron Sanchez on the outside. And the gap between them and Lozelle has jumped back out to 6.7 seconds. So they've been losing a little bit of time here. One would imagine that these guys in the big pack would be able to go faster than our leaders, but it's just not the way that it's working out. But they need something to happen here soon, or else they're going to run out of time to catch up to the leaders. Speaking of our leaders, let's go and have a look at what they're up to. And it looks like Jonathan Hernandez has now dropped out of the lead. These guys are working together. If the guy in second is getting too hot, looks like the leader is going to shuffle themselves out. And that's the best way that these guys can maintain their pace. That means for the first time here today, Matt Burgess is leading the way in the 12 car. And he's going to get his leader lap points this time around. And the 60 Kyle Kraus will probably assume the lead then. As we have 17 laps to go now as they cross the start-finish line. We've had no cautions for 0 caution laps here in the Rutnut Designs at 162. And we're staying with these guys until the end, or unless we get a caution, in which case we'll throw to an advert. Let's go back to checking out our second pack. And it's still Chris Champeau leading the way of the second pack. They've gone back to single file formation. And they've actually been very slowly pulling back time. Since going single file, they've gained nearly a second on the front pack. It's 5.2 seconds now, the gap. So if they stay single file like this, I reckon they're going to have the best chance of catching our leaders. They gained 3/10 in the first half of this lap. And we'll see at the line how many tenths they gain in the second half of the lap. If they stay single file like this, then they do have a good chance of catching the field, because there's only 15 laps to go for these drivers now. And it looks like only a 3/10 gain on that lap. But if these guys don't catch the leading pack fast enough, then I reckon it might lead to a little bit of a mutiny. We could see a little bit of action starting to form. Mark Pentecoff taking a slightly wider line in to turn 3, possibly just to get a little bit of air on the nose of that car. And they gained 7/10 of a second on that lap. This second pack is flying now. 4.4 seconds is the gap. Just saw there in the foreground of the shot a quick little look of Austin Hakes' car as the camera angle changed. Yeah, these guys should have just stayed single file from the start. The gap is now teetering on 4 seconds. And that's going to change again. Still Matt Burgess leading the way of the front pack. 6/10 gained. Jonathan Bell needs to be wary of his engine temps. Might be half an idea for the two of Chris Champeau to jump down to the back with someone fresh at the front. And I think that's not what's happening. I think there was a little bit of a bad bump there from Jonathan Bell. And they started to lose time again, because I'm pretty sure the Jonathan Bell car needs air. They just lost 5/10 on that lap with whatever happened there on the back straight. .6 seconds is the gap, 5th to 6th. The front 5 are covered by 0.3 of a second. But one or both of these two at the front of this pack need to swap out. They broke even with the front pack this time by. So if I was the 27 of Jonathan Bell right now, I would probably move out the way if he's overheating. Because the longer he stays in there behind the two of Chris Champeau, the more chance that he's probably going to overheat his engine and blow it up. The 5 of Mark Pentecoff gets out the way and is going to drop to the back. Gap is now back down to 4.1 seconds. And there's 10 laps to go in this race. .5 of a second gain on that lap. These guys are going to start getting aggressive. .21 of Chambliss trying to get right onto the tail of Jonathan Bell for the extra push. Oh, James Watson got loose. And this has scattered the backpack here a little bit. There's 78 of Brian Pizzicami there on the outside lane. Let's go back up to these guys. And it looks like they've been losing time again. I'm pretty sure that's because Jonathan Bell has been overheating. He's right back onto the tail of Chris Champeau again. The pushes coming from him are immense. You're also getting the pushes from the 21 of Chambliss as well. Chambliss wants to get going here. He wants to catch up to this front pack. They clawed back some of the time they lost in the first half of the lap. The leader's a little bit more visible there in that changed camera angle. I still think Jonathan Bell, even though there's only a few laps left, should swap out for Chambliss. See Frank Isaacson up there as well, running P9. 3.5 seconds is the gap now. They gained 7 tenths on that lap. Some of the guys in this pack are starting to get a little bit antsy. See James Watson on the outside there with Mark Pentecoff. They were almost joined by Scott Nicky. Scott Nicky then went back to the low lane. 3 seconds is the gap now. Coming into turn 3. And we still haven't had the big one yet. Now next time by at the line, it's going to be 5 laps left to run. And these guys need to absolutely push the limit if they want to close this 3-second gap. I think we've actually had a couple more cars join that front pack with Jonas Marquez and Sam Niederhelm, who are both a lap down now. 2.5 seconds is the gap. 5th to 6th. Which means Chris Champeau is actually just about in draft range of the 66 of Sam Niederhelm. 5 laps to go. I think the introduction of those extra lap cars has actually checked up that front pack a little bit. As Chris Champeau is now in draft range of Niederhelm, the second pack is back in it. Let's go check in on our leader, Matt Burgess. He's got the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez on his tail. The 60 of Kyle Kraus is there, so is John Lozelle. And Thomas Harmon back in 5th. These are going to be the money laps now. Can they hold off that charging second pack? And will we see the big one? The potential is definitely there for the big one to occur, with everyone being back in the pack again. The 5 of Mark Pentecoff has fallen off the back of the pack though. And there's the 2 and the 27. They're right back in there. So saw the 21 of Brian Chambliss falling off a little bit from the back of these guys. But he's still only 8 tenths back. Only 3 laps to go now. Only 3 laps for this second pack to try and make an impact. And here they come to the outside of the 2-lap cars. Chris Champeau and Jonathan Bell. The rest of the pack just caught up to Sam Niederhelm now. And Thomas Harmon moving into the outside lane. He says, if you guys are coming, I'm going to get up in there and take advantage of this. So here we go. This is where all the chips are going to be on the table now. 2 laps to go when they get to the start-finish line. And the moves are being made. Jonathan Hernandez and Kyle Kraus both moving to the outside. And it worked out better for Kraus that time. But you see, with the push, it's going to put Hernandez in the advantage in front of Thomas Harmon. We have a big pack. Sam Niederhelm just trying to get out of the way. He's a lap down. He doesn't want to fight. Niederhelm actually getting into the wall there, coming out of turn 2. You see Frank Isaacson also dropping to the back of the pack. He just wants to survive. As we come out of turn number 4 for the penultimate time, when they come to the line, it's going to be white flag, last lap, last chance to win it or wear it. And this is the most exciting finish that we're going to have in a long time here. Look at them side by side. Jonathan Hernandez leading the way to the white flag. If we get a crash right now, we will not get a caution. And Hernandez and Harmon both got clear there. So now, oh, big block. And Thomas Harmon's gone around. We're getting the big one. The big one has just happened. And the field has been absolutely decimated. Oh, the 12 of Matt Burgess and the 2 of Chris Champeau still wrecking. But Jonathan Hernandez is going to win this. And P2 is going to be Jaron Sanchez from nowhere. And James Lindow currently looking like he's going to finish in P3 here. James Lindow went from 16th to 3rd on the last lap. But that doesn't matter because our winner here for the Rutnut Designs 162 is the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. What an incredible finish. Biblical scenes. As you see both first and second there on screen. But Lindow going from 16th to 3rd on that final lap because of the crash. Oh, and the 13 of Travis Massier. He hasn't made it to the finish line yet. I think his car's run out of noise. It has. He's trying to roll as best as he can to the start-finish line. He's going to get scored in 17th, 1 lap down at the moment. I think Jonas Marquez is going to come and give him a push. There you go. A little bit of sportsmanship on display as well. And Hernandez is just going to sit there and wait for them to go past. So he can celebrate. In fact, I think he's going to go up there and offer some assistance as well. Look at that. Great sportsmanship from the Output Racing boys. And there we go. With that crossing of the line, that should be Travis Massier in about 17th. And Jonas Marquez in 20th. But now it's time for Jonathan Hernandez to celebrate here. And he's going to do so in style. Burning out on the grass over the Daytona sign. And we are going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have our top 3 interviews and find out who our hard charger is. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Alrighty, guys, it is time for our Viagra Hard Charger Award. And our Hard Charger Award winner here today is going to be the 44 car of Mr. Zach Scottnicki. Rookie to the league, Zach, but already you're making a huge impact, getting fourth place here with such a dramatic finish. First of all, how do you feel?
I feel great. I wish I wouldn't have been in that wreck, but hey, I was in it and I still got fourth, so that's better than I thought.
Now, definitely looked like a difficult second part of that race for the second pack, especially. At one point, you guys were 6.5 seconds back, but you managed to, as a group, work it out and claw that back and provided an excellent finish there to the race.
Yeah, we did a lot of pushing together. Uh, we were losing time at some points, but hey, we got there and we made a good race.
Right, man. Now, since you're the hard charger, obviously there was some passing that had to happen, but we won't worry about that here because it's all drafting. But early in the race, you were looking pretty strong there. You were up towards the front of the field. What was that like driving with a new group of guys? Even though you do race in a different league with a lot of the drivers, but there's still a lot of unknown from a lot of the other drivers that are in this league.
Yeah, like you said, there is a lot of unknown. Um, it's just trying to get used to how people push, how people like stuck up to the back of you, how they act in front of you, and how they just drive in general.
All right, man. Now let's look forward to next week's race. Once I bring it up, next week we are going to be from Darlington. So, what's the feeling for you heading to the Lady in Black?
Honestly, I've raced one set, the Lady in Black in the trucks, and I did pretty well there. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, man. Now, before we let you go, any shout outs you got to get out of the way here today?
Um, Villa Vikings, Zest Designs and Photography. Um, that's really about it. And thanks for broadcasting.
All right, thank you very much, Zach. And I hope that I've been pronouncing your last name right this whole race. Scott Nicky?
Correct.
Yes. Score one for the commentator. All right, man. Thank you very much for coming out. Congratulations on the Hard Charger Award and P4 on debut. Definitely nothing to sneeze at. And we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Darlington.
I look forward to seeing what I can do too.
All right, guys. That was our Hard Charger Award here today. Zach, Scott, Nicky. And we did have our third place driver lined up here, but he's just disappeared on us. Our third place driver here today was the 91 of James Lindau. And as I said, he has disappeared on us at the moment. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get a chat with him. So we are going to move directly on to our second place getter then. And our second place getter is going to be the league owner and operator, the 4 of Jaron Sanchez. Jaron, what a crazy last lap that was.
Yeah, it was. I just wanted to put myself in the best position I could, and ended up getting real lucky. I was able to avoid that. I kind of felt like being on the bottom, or if I could get down there, was where I should have been, just in case something like that happened. I'd have somewhere to go instead of just the wall, and it worked out because turn two they all kind of wrecked, and I just ducked low and couldn't catch. Uh, Unfortunately, Jonathan was already gone, so. But I'll take second any day of the week.
Now, we really wanted to speak to Lindau because he went from 16th at the start of that final lap to third. And you had a pretty incredible rise in positions as well. I think you were back at sixth at the start of that last lap, and you made your way up to second. How difficult was it trying to navigate through that wreck?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Kind of just there's really not a whole lot of talent. It's just you just hope that your hands do the right thing and the cars don't hit you and you get through it. So it was just pretty chaotic, but I got through it. And then, but yeah, Lindell he had to run. He said tell y'all hi and sorry he couldn't make the interview, but he had to go and take care of something real quick. So I don't know if he'll be back in time, but anyway. But yeah, that was a fun race. It was fun trying to catch the pack. Uh, we were trying pretty much everything. We tried single file for a while, it wasn't working. We switched to double file, and we realized single file is probably better. And we luckily they had a couple mishaps in the front pack, and we were able to clean it up a little bit and caught them at the end.
Now, let's have a look fast forward into next week. We're going to Darlington. So, what's the feeling like for you going to race at the Lady in Black?
And Darlington is just going to be survival. I feel like I've picked up a few things the last time I was there in a different league, and I don't plan on getting a top five, but anywhere else, I could be dead last. I could be 10th. I don't know. But I'm just going to try to survive. I hate that track, and I'm glad it's week 2. We can get over with early and be done with it, put it in the rearview mirror, and yeah, I'm excited to get it over with.
All right. Now, I know you got a few shout outs that you got to do here today, and you also are sometimes Twitch streamer. So, let's get a shout out to your Twitch channel and then any other shout outs you got to handle here tonight.
The one time a year I go streaming nowadays is twitch.tv/Jaren_S. And just want to shout out to all the drivers. These are all my good friends we drive with every week. And I know that they don't get to hear it in the broadcast, but we're all having a good time hanging out, racing. And yeah, I really want to thank the drivers for coming out, making this league what it is. And, my wife for supporting this hobby. And, you for doing such a good broadcast. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joan. Thank you for coming out, putting on the league, and congratulations on P2. We look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Darlington.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Now moving on to today's winner, and he wasn't leading until the last couple of laps there, but you can't take that away from him because he's such a tenacious driver that it's awesome when he does get a win. And of course, talking to the 88 of Mr. Jonathan Hernandez. Jonathan, great win, man. Great strategy there, especially towards the end, getting to the outside line with Thomas, and you came home with the W.
Yeah, it was a kind of like up and down race. Of course, I originally wanted to get the pole, get the initial lap led, and at least stay in the back most of the race because I knew fuel was going to be a issue with it, mainly being a one stop if we had no cautions, which we didn't. So without having that caution before we had to make the stop, I realized that just saving back there would be the best option, and luckily it did. And somehow, I don't know how, I would have to take a look back on it. Uh, the five of us, me, Thomas, Matt, Kyle, and Lazille, I don't know how or what way, but we ended up breaking away from everyone else. And we were going along fine, but after we ended up swapping to have me and Thomas save a little bit of fuel just in case of a green white checkered, we just lost time, and finally those last few laps, everyone else caught up to us, which ended up being the start of just the hard racing. And luckily, when I saw Kyle go up there, I made the right move and the right timing of going up with him to try and get a run, and it worked out somehow, and we were able to stay ahead of that, the huge wreck we all put off, and I thought we were going to end up clean everyone, but of course we didn't. Everyone junked it. But overall, I mean, it was just a great race. I can't complain nothing about it.
All right, man. Now let's look at that wreck specifically. What did you see in your mirror? Because you were clean and clear out in front. What did you see happen behind you?
Well, I knew that last lap something was going to happen, and so luckily Thomas, great pusher. I pushed him to the win here, just here at Daytona, really multiple times. And so to be on that receiving end, I knew he was going to push me until at least I thought out of two, and then he was going to make his move. So once he cleared me, I saw he was going to start moving down. So that's what I did. I followed him down there. I just didn't expect him to go right back up to get a push from Chris. And once he got the push from Chris, I knew I had to either block that run as quick as I could, or that'll just be the race. So initially, I thought, and I looked back at it and I talked to Thomas real quick about it. Initially, I thought I clipped his front end, which caused him to spin down into Matt, which caused that wreck. But looking back at it, and we both talked about it, it was just heat. It was a clean block, and as he started coming down, Matt had a momentum run. So once Matt got his nose there, I just saw my mirror. Everyone was wrecking, and I don't know who got through it. I don't know how close, if anybody got through it. But going into three, I realized it's just I had at least a good, decent lead on Jaron, and it was just I knew right then and there the win was secure unless I managed to run out of fuel, which luckily we didn't, or me being me, I let go of the wheel and spin it out.
All right, man. Now let's look forward towards next week. We're going to Darlington. So what's the feeling like for you going to race on the Lady in Black?
It is going to be really tricky compared to previous years. You know, the track got updated with the modern grip. Um, so, of course, 1 and 2 is going to be more sketchy than it was before. 3 and 4, yeah, the little grip strip down the bottom lane, and I think that'll come in handy, especially if we get restarts or late race restarts. And the top of just is slick. And I don't know if it's gonna be a day or night race. If it's a day race, oh, it's gonna be really, really slick. Pretty much entire run. Tires are gonna be really key. And if we have cautions that come out at a bad time, it's just a make or break on if you want to take a set or save a set for later. And it's just I think it's gonna be an interesting race. Um, especially with the whole field we got. I don't know how that's gonna go. If Christian ends up running it, I feel like Christian can be a strong contender there. But at the same time, I know he's experienced the updated track there as well as I. It's just gonna be a handful. And it's gonna be a survival really of who can master the track and get it tamed.
All right, now we know that you got a couple of shout outs you got to do here tonight, man. So who you got to shout out this week?
Well, first off, yeah, of course, I gotta thank y'all. You, Jaron, uh, Brian, everyone in the drivers' council. To put on another season of this and just have a blast running every Tuesday night. It's uh, it's something I always look forward to. Of course, last season I ended up missing a handful of races, but it feels really good to be back. Um, of course, I gotta thank my team over there at Esport Racing Group. You know, everyone from Chris, Jeff, our good friend and teammate Rachel, who is undergoing treatment right now as she's ill. So I know luckily she's doing well right now. She's resting. That's why on my truck I have her name on the left side driver door, and as well as on the hood. So everyone over there I'm thankful for. You know everyone who's supported me. Racing here. Luckily I made a ton of friends here, and it's always some like I said something to look forward to, especially for those out there that are sponsoring these events. I know y'all put a lot of time into it, and for us to give it back is really something that's special. And I think it's just a one of a kind league that I think everyone should be taking note of on how everything is. And yeah, and I want to thank a special shout out to a one of my friends, his company over there in North Carolina called RPM Motorsports. And see, I know his family's been running that over there in North Carolina for a long time, specializing in building race cars, really. So, I want to thank them for being on a truck, my cars. And other than that, I'm just ready to take on next week.
All right, well, thank you very much, Jonathan. Hopefully, a speedy recovery for Rachel there. I know her pretty all right. She's a fast driver, and she has been in our broadcast before for the USANZ series that we used to broadcast. So I definitely wish her a very speedy recovery. But, mate, congratulations on your win, and we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Darlington.
Thank you, Corey. See you next week.
All right, guys. So that is going to wrap up proceedings here for tonight. Thank you all for coming out and supporting season number 2, 2021 of the Output Racing League. Kicking things off here with the Rutnut Designs 160. but we are going to be taking the next week off and getting ready for Darlington, which is going to be the same time next week right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. If you're watching this on the replay in YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're watching over on the Twitch channel, don't forget to follow the channel so you can be up to date every time we go live here for the Output Racing League. And until next week, when we go to Darlington, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim Commentator, and I'll see you guys next week.